are your greatest asset. Before you can lead others in any meaningful way, you need to be able to invest in your own growth, your own personal development, your own health, your own mindset. Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's cut out to be able to deal with that much stress. You need to be able to balance that. The results come from discipline, not just motivation. Hello there. Welcome to the Superhuman Entrepreneur Podcast. This is Dr. Jeremy Epson. I'm so glad to be with you. And we are in part 2 of the Jason Payne interview. We're going to go over action items and things we learned from Jason, packed with good stuff. Go listen to it. I love his passion for helping people and investing in his team, investing in his relationships, and investing in himself. And we're going to talk about action items from that specifically, because those are the 3 areas that we want to highlight and talk about how you can do that, how you can invest better in yourself, how you can invest better in your relationships, particularly with your spouse, and particularly investing in your team, and make sure they're on board and they can take these and create some action items off them and apply them to your business, to your life, to your marriage, to yourself, so that you can achieve and become a superhuman entrepreneur. So as we dive in, let's talk about this. So we're going to start with investing in yourself. So Jason talked a lot about how you are your greatest asset. Before you can lead others in any meaningful way, you need to be able to invest in your own growth, your own personal development, your own health, your own mindset. You don't have that ability to achieve that superhuman status without making a conscious choice and decision to become exceptional. So your item number 1, action item, is prioritize learning. You need to set aside time every day, 30 minutes to read books, to listen to podcasts, take an online course. Focus on a skill that you're going to develop that you can use to enhance your business and expand your personal life. And then as you do that, you can also then add time in there to surround yourself with people who have done what you want to do, who have gone where you want to go, and you can use them as examples. If needed, it is so key, and Jason talked about this, you need to invest in a mentorship. Invest in guidance that's going to create shortcuts. It's going to be a time machine to accelerate your results. Action item, what is the one thing you want to learn? Who can you learn it from? Where can you read it? Where can you learn about this? And how can you start making it happen now? So start doing that, whether it's a few minutes a week, investing in a mentor, figuring out how to make it happen. Action item number 2, your health is wealth. Jason talks about stress and the impact that stress had on your health, and that stress likely killed him before anything else. Entrepreneurs, we talked a lot about this, and I think he's absolutely right. The entrepreneurs develop a special skill of handling stress and being able to deal with trials and deal with different situations that are different than other people. Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's cut out to be able to deal with that much stress, but you need to be able to balance that. You need to be able to manage that stress. Schedule time for exercise, schedule time for healthy eating, because your energy and how you show up and how you perform is ultimately your limit to what you can achieve. So if you haven't already, action item, take time to commit to taking care of yourself, whether that's getting to bed a little bit earlier, whether that's putting your phone away earlier, whether that is going to the gym, whether that's making a good choice on a meal every day for this week. You need to prepare and plan and make a choice. And if you need someone to hold you accountable, talk to someone, find someone, pay someone to hold you accountable. That's ultimately key. Ultimately, it comes from inside. But if you know you're one that tends to lack, then pay someone to hold you accountable. Hire a personal trainer. I have a few that I recommend that work for me. Definitely it's key. And you need to, or hire a dietitian or enroll a program, get your labs done, something that's going to start the process of holding yourself accountable. That's item number 2. On to item number 3, mental fitness. You need to practice mindfulness. You need to practice meditation. You need to practice prayer. You need to build that stress management into your system. And that is into your daily system of how you function, because that's how you develop results. Results come from discipline, not just motivation. You have to be able to push through challenges and use that grit to push through. And so spend time each day writing something down, writing down what you're grateful for, and then also not stressing about things you don't need to stress for. Jason said something very clear that I loved. He said, don't take advice from people who haven't achieved what you want to achieve. And so this is one of the big problems with social media, is because anyone could throw up a social media page and look like they've achieved a lot, but have they actually really done that? And so make sure you're finding a good source of inspiration, a good source of a mentor, someone who's actually done what you've done before, like we talked about. All right, major key section number 2 is investing in your spouse, because a strong partnership is the foundation for a happy, successful life. They've done many, many studies over time. They've determined that over time, as you age, there is one thing that stands out that has the biggest impact on the quality of life. And that is the quality of your primary relationship. That relationship with your spouse is the number one factor. It's not your health, it's not your genetics, it's not how much you work out, it's not how well you eat or whether you drink or you smoke. It comes down to that primary relationship and the quality of your primary relationship. Because when you invest in that relationship, the returns are exponential. I love Jason's quote in there. He said his wife is his superpower. And I agree. That's the same thing for me. My wife is my superpower. She's so amazing. And he has some great stories in there about learning the hard way of keeping his word with his wife, the impact of breaking promises, even small promises. And I loved our discussion on that. He had his ultimate goal of not wanting to end up getting divorced, like so many entrepreneurs do. Because as entrepreneurs, sometimes we have to devote more time than we want to business and less time to family and to our spouse than we probably should. And there are seasons for that. But keeping your promises are important. And so you need to plan. And so action item number 4, our first one in this category, is you need to build in quality time. And quality time can be different for each person. I know quality time for my wife is one way. Quality time for Jason's wife is probably one way. Quality time for your spouse is probably a different way. And so you need to know and understand your spouse and make sure that they feel heard and make sure that they have that quality time that they need. So date night is a great way to do this, or scheduling a specific time. Doesn't have to be fancy, just some focused time together without distractions. And without talking about the business. That's a hard thing for me too, is even on date night with my wife, business stuff always ends up coming up, but we talk about business. And so the more time that you can spend with your spouse, not talking about business as an entrepreneur, that extra golden points for you there. So just a couple things to think about. Is there something your spouse has mentioned, a place she wants to go? And I'm saying her because most of our listeners are men, but it applies, of course, for men and women. Is there a place that she wants to go, or things she wants to do, or a restaurant she wants to try? So that's really key. And one of my favorite things that Jason talked about is he talked about being on time, not even just a few minutes late. And just how you phrase that discussion, it can be really important. So if you missed that, if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it again, because it's really key. Because ultimately that comes down to keeping your word. And sometimes our words just need to be tweaked a little bit so that we can be more in integrity with ourselves. And so we can also be more in integrity with our spouse and our loved ones. So that's really key. Action item number 5 is open communication. And he shared some great examples of his wife basically calling him out. And I know I appreciate when my wife does this too. So you need to listen. You need to do your best to really understand, what your wife is saying and how you can make sure that she feels heard and validate what she's saying, express appreciation for what she's saying and acknowledge that. And then really work to apply that. Whether you agree with it or not, you need to understand she's saying that for a reason. What is the why behind why she's saying that? And then you also need to get on the same page with her so she understands the why behind what you're doing. And so that you guys as a team can be on the same page, as husband and wife, but also the same page as parents, same page on all the things that are going on. So definitely this time, the goal would be have a time, schedule time with your spouse to go through each of your goals and your dreams. And maybe you're missing part of her vision for her future life that you can incorporate and build into yours very easily. And you just don't realize that you're missing it, because that ultimately leads to that next action item, which is mutual support. Be sure to support their goals, support what she wants. Just like you would expect her to support yours, you need to support hers. Your spouse has special insight into you. They know you better than anyone else. Hopefully they see you in all of your exposed intimacy in all the different ways. So use that to your advantage. Use that as a strength. Use that as a builder to make decisions. Jason talked about how now in their business, as they hire more people, his wife is there to help him in these final hiring decisions. She has good strengths to understand people, and he seeks her counsel, and they decide together on who to hire and who to bring on their team. Because ultimately, when you're building a business, that's an extension of your family. And as the businesses grow, so you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page for that. So definitely remember that. And then third, which leads right into the third point, which we want to talk about, is investing in your team. Because your team is what makes your business go. And if you're investing in your growth, your employees and your team is going to grow, and they're going to help you grow. If you invest in their goals and help them to achieve their goals, they will help you to achieve your goals and be more productive, more focused, more loyal, and have even better results. I love Jason's quote about, he said, nobody does anything well by themselves. It's all about with the team. And I know as I build out my team, it's really key to make sure that hiring to cover each other's strengths and weaknesses and building a strong, cohesive team, because not everyone has to do every single thing. But if you build the right team, all of you can do all the things together correctly. Definitely be sure to provide growth opportunities, invest in them, offer training, workshops, mentorships, understand what their goals are to help them to achieve those goals. And that's really key. And Jason talks about regularly, I don't remember how much he talked about it on the podcast, but I've heard Jason talk before about other things about you need to be meeting with your team regularly and understand what their goals are and understand what they want for their life. And how you can help them to take that next step. And hopefully it can be with you and working with your company can help them to achieve those goals. But if not, help them to get to the point where they can graduate from your business to the next step to help them to truly achieve their goals. So that's really key. Jason talks about how he hires people for hunger and energy, and he wants to keep investing in developing those people and helping them to really achieve their goals and build a career development plan for them to be able to be successful. This is really key. I love, like I said, I've heard Jason talk about this topic before at one of his other events that I've been to. And this is really key and something that we're also working to apply in our businesses. And this is definitely important. Because if you invest in people, and then which right is the action item, the next action item is recognize and appreciate. Because as you recognize and appreciate them, they will appreciate you and they will work harder for you. And we can all achieve our goals together. So definitely acknowledge their hard work and support, and make sure it's point to thank each team member individually and figure out what's the best way to thank them. So everyone's different on what they like and appreciate and how they like to feel appreciated. So, do a little bit of research and find out and figure out how you can make that happen. And ultimately, that comes down to when you do those things, you build a positive culture. And that's going to really take your business to the next level. Make sure to have team building activities, regular meetings so that everyone can collaborate and work together and feel like they're part of a team, but they don't feel like they're on an island by themselves, but that they're part of the whole cohesive team so they can see the whole vision. So in summary, invest in yourself, invest in your relationship with your spouse, and invest in your team. As you invest and the returns on all of those areas will be exponential. You will never regret investing in yourself. You will never regret investing in your spouse, and you will never regret investing in your team. And because those returns are exponential. If you want to grow, if you want to build amazing business and have an amazing impact, invest in those areas. And that is how you become superhuman. You enjoying the podcast? Help us reach more entrepreneurs like you by leaving a review. As a thank you, everyone who leaves a 5-star review will be entered into a drawing for some exciting prizes. We are here to help you more than just listen. Head over to superhumanentrepreneur.com, click on community, and join a powerful network of entrepreneurs that are striving to be their best. Each episode includes action steps, resources, and accountability to help you to implement these ideas and start seeing results.